The terminal at Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport buzzed with the usual chaos, rolling suitcases, boarding announcements, and the low hum of impatient travelers. 16-year-old Jordan Miles stood near Gate 32, clutching his backpack straps, eyes fixed on the departure screen. This was his first time flying alone. He had earned a scholarship to attend a prestigious youth aviation camp in Seattle, a dream he'd worked toward for years. Jordan wore a simple hoodie, jeans, and sneakers. His boarding pass stuck out of his pocket, and a folder labeled Aviation Camp Acceptance peeked from his bag. He looked nervous, but excited. That excitement shattered when Captain Richard Hale, a senior pilot in full uniform, stopped abruptly in front of him. "Hey you," the pilot snapped. "What are you doing here?" Jordan blinked, confused. Waiting to board, sir." Hale's eyes narrowed. He glanced at Jordan's clothes, then at his backpack. "This is a restricted crew area." Jordan shook his head politely. "This is Gate 32, sir. Flight 718 to Seattle." Hale scoffed. "Don't play games with me. I've seen your type hanging around airports before." A few nearby passengers slowed down, sensing tension. "My type?" Jordan asked quietly. The pilot ignored the question. "Show me your boarding pass." Jordan handed it over with trembling fingers. Hale barely glanced at it before tossing it back. "This could be fake. I'm calling security." "What? Why?" Jordan's voice cracked. "I didn't do anything." Hale had already turned away, speaking sharply into his radio. "Security to Gate 32. Possible trespasser." Whispers rippled through the crowd. "That kid looks scared," a woman muttered. "Why's the pilot so aggressive?" another man asked. Jordan's face burned with embarrassment. He felt every stare. He wanted to disappear. He pulled out his phone and texted his mom. "Mom, something's wrong. They called security on me." Within minutes, 2 airport security officers approached. "Sir, what seems to be the problem?" one asked the pilot. "This young man doesn't belong here," Hale said confidently. "Suspicious behavior." The officer turned to Jordan. "Son, can I see your ID and boarding pass?" Jordan handed everything over. The officer examined the documents carefully. Everything was valid. "It all checks out," the officer said. "He's a passenger." Hale frowned. "That can't be right." "It is," the officer replied calmly. "He's cleared." Jordan exhaled in relief, but it didn't last. Hale leaned closer and said coldly, "Even if you're allowed, don't get comfortable. People like you don't last long in places like this." Jordan's eyes filled with tears, but he stood his ground. "My mom is on her way," he said softly. Hale laughed under his breath. "Good, maybe she can explain why you're here." Just then the terminal doors near the gate slid open, and several airline executives stepped inside, walking with purpose. At the center of them was a confident black woman in a tailored suit, her expression calm but powerful. Jordan looked up, hope flickering in his eyes. "Mom," he whispered. The pilot turned and his smile vanished. The chatter at Gate 32 faded as the woman in the tailored navy suit approached. Her heels echoed against the polished floor, each step measured and calm. Denise Miles, CEO and majority owner of Miles Air, didn't raise her voice or rush, but her presence alone commanded attention. Jordan stepped forward. "Mom." Denise placed a reassuring hand on her son's shoulder. She studied his face, noting the redness in his eyes and the tight way he held his backpack. Then she turned to the pilot. "What seems to be the problem here?" she asked evenly. Captain Richard Hale straightened, assuming a polite smile. "Ma'am, this young man was trespassing near a restricted area. We've handled it." Denise tilted her head slightly. "Handled it how?" Hale gestured dismissively toward Jordan. "He didn't look like a passenger, I suspected." "Stop," Denise said quietly. The word cut through the air sharper than a shout. One of the airline executives cleared his throat. "Captain Hale, this is Ms. Denise Miles." Hale blinked. "And you are?" Denise reached into her purse and removed a slim leather ID holder. She opened it and held it up, not for Jordan, not for the crowd, but directly for Hale, owner and chief executive officer of Miles Air. The color drained from the pilot's face. Passengers gasped, phones came out, a ripple of shock spread through the gate. Denise didn't gloat, she simply continued. "My son is flying today to attend a national aviation program. He has a valid ticket, proper ID, and a future in this industry, yet you chose to humiliate him." Hale stammered, I didn't know, I was just following protocol." "Protocol does not include profiling," Denise replied, "or calling security without evidence, or making threats." The security officer shifted uncomfortably. "Ma'am, his documents were valid. We informed the captain." Denise nodded. "Thank you for doing your job correctly." She turned back to Hale. "How long have you been a pilot here?" 22 years, he muttered. "And in those 22 years," Denise asked, "how many young people who looked like my son did you decide didn't belong?" Silence. Denise faced the nearby executives. "Effective immediately, Captain Hale is removed from today's flight. HR will conduct a full review of his conduct and past complaints." Hale's voice cracked. "You can't do this over a misunderstanding." "This was not a misunderstanding," Denise said firmly. "This was prejudice." She looked at Jordan and smiled gently. "You okay?" Jordan nodded, swallowing hard. "Yeah, I think so." Denise hugged him. "I'm proud of you for standing tall." She then addressed the passengers. "On behalf of Miles Air, I apologize for what you witnessed. This airline stands for dignity and equal treatment." Applause broke out, soft at first, then louder. A new pilot soon arrived to take over the flight. As boarding began, Jordan stepped onto the jet bridge, confidence restored. Captain Hale watched from a distance, his career unraveling in silence. As the plane lifted into the sky, Jordan looked out the window and smiled. For the first time, he didn't just dream of FL.